Hello there, and welcome to the very first episode. That's right, the debut episode of Damn Good Movie Memories. I'm your host, Brian Davis. The inspiration of the show comes from my Tumblr blog, which is entitled Damn Good Media Collection. Sound a bit familiar? Well, that blog, which was started over 2 years ago, came from the idea of basically posting every single one of my media collection, which includes all my DVDs and all my CDs, which is in total about 3,000 types of media. It was a stupid undertaking, just really stupid, but I did it. I completed it. So what's the next chapter? Well, everyone tells me, why don't turn it into a podcast? Well, we're not going to really turn that into a podcast because the last thing I want to hear is an hour of me droning on about one movie. What I intend to do is, of course, be your host, an intro of this, but really it's going to be interviews with other people. I'm more fascinated in what other people have to say about certain subjects, and that's what we're going to do. So again, while movies will be the main focus, I plan on sprinkling in sometimes music shows, random ideas that aren't necessarily related to movies. You might be asking yourself, why are we doing there's another movie podcast from someone I've never heard of? Well, I agree. I think it's stupid, but screw it. I'm doing it anyway. As a kid, I wanted to be on the radio. That was my dream, whether it be a baseball announcer or a radio disc jockey. Went to college, broadcasting major, had my own college radio show, and I absolutely loved it. Had an internship at a radio station. That was fascinating. Total blast. But going on the radio as a career just didn't happen. I don't regret it. I'm happy the way things turned out. But then when the advent of podcasting came out and the common person that didn't have to be Howard Stern or someone like that could basically release their own material, good or bad, to the general public, it's a fascinating thing. Anyone can do this, and that's really cool, actually. So while I realize that not many people are probably going to listen to this, it's probably going to be my coworkers, maybe my parents, we'll see. That's okay. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a hobby. We'll see how far it takes us. And so we have lots of good ideas. We're going to see how it works. And so the very first podcast, the one that we're going to start this all off with, was what was the very first movie you saw in a theater? The movie-going experience has really changed over years. Back in the day, before really home movies and definitely before the internet and streaming, you had to go to the theater. A good movie could have been out for 6 to 10 months. And after that, it would take up to a year, if not longer, for it to come out on home video. And in some cases, much longer, like the movie I saw first in the theater, which was E.T. I believe E.T. came out in 1982, and it wasn't released on home video until 1988. And that was a huge deal. My mom actually went out and bought it on VHS, which was kind of unheard of at the time because VHS movies were intentionally priced to be too expensive. So you had to go out and rent them because you weren't going to pay $90 for a home movie, but you would gladly pay a couple bucks to rent it once a week. And it was just an incredible racket if you think about it. Way before, home media became very affordable with DVDs. Anyway, so E.T., I don't really honestly remember much about the movie when I first saw it. Obviously I thought E.T. was cool and cute and everything, but really my first memory of seeing it is when I rented it. So that could be a whole different episode. One of my favorite movie-going experiences happened when Top Gun was released. So it was 1986. I probably had to be 8 or 9 years old. My parents took me to go see it at our local theater. And again, it wasn't a adult-type movie until the love scene between Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis. Of course, you all remember with Take My Breath Away playing. And I'll never forget kind of watching, not really I understood what was going on, but it didn't do anything to me. And I just remember looking at my parents, and they kind of looked at each other, and I think my dad kind of muttered to my mom, "Oh, you didn't see this one coming." So that was funny. And then when Goose died, Yes, I just gave that away to everyone. I mean, if you haven't seen Top Gun yet, you don't know Goose dies. Well, whatever. So Goose dies, and I keep hearing this whimpering and this sniffling, and I turn around, and the woman behind me is just weeping. And I'm 8 years old. I know this shit isn't real. This woman needs to keep it together. Come on. And I remember just kind of, I didn't stare, but I was kind of almost smirking, like, why is she crying? And she gave me this look. It was like the look of death. Like, how dare you stare at me? Goose just died. Don't you understand? No, I'm still warped by Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise making out. Yeah. So anyway, that's what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to talk about funny first memories about being in the movie theater. So enough listening to me ramble on about Top Gun and silly things. Let's listen to other people ramble on about everything but Top Gun. And then I'll come back and we'll wrap this up.
You just waved your hand at me. Yeah. What does that mean?
That means, what is your name, sir?
Today?
Yes.
It's Robert M. Davis.
And what does the M stand for?
Money.
Well, there you go. So speaking of money, what was the first movie you paid to go see in the theater?
That I paid?
Yeah. Which is different than actually the first movie you actually saw.
I think it was called Hot Cross Buns.
Was that an adult film?
Then, yes.
Yeah. So
now it would be rated PG.
Probably. So what was the first movie you actually saw in a theater that you didn't have to pay for?
Well, I remember, as we have talked about, Them.
Okay, and Them...
Them is a bunch of giant ants.
And do you remember who actually starred in the movie?
I think it was James Whitmore.
Mm-hmm.
Only because you gave me the movie a couple of years ago that I could...
Which then stole my other question was, have you seen it since? And does it hold up as well as when you first
saw it? No, it was much better.
When you were a kid?
It was much more frightening.
I also think, who was the guy in Gunsmoke?
James Arness.
He was in it, wasn't he? Or what? I don't know. I'd have to look back. I'd have to go back.
Oh, you're supposed to know all the answers.
Oh, well, he played the Thing.
He did?
So I do know that. I know he was in Gunsmoke.
How tall was he?
That I don't know.
6'6".
Yeah, he's pretty... This is why I have you. I can also check the internet. So, okay. So
you are checking the internet. Yeah,
so
the outer net.
So how much do you think the movie cost back then?
Back then, it was either a quarter or 50 cents.
And do you remember if there
was... I'm old. Yeah. You want to count the rings around me?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't even think half our audience can understand what you mean by that. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll talk trees.
Okay, well, there you go. Do you remember if there was a feature film before that?
It was probably a cartoon.
Okay, but you don't remember that?
No.
Okay.
No, it could have been Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse was really big then.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, all right. And do you remember...
That's it? I want more.
That's it. No, that's. I mean, this could be a 30-hour show.
I thought I was starring in this.
Well, we'll see if we place you. So, thank you.
You're welcome. What was your name again?
Yeah, goodbye.
I tell you, gentlemen, science has agreed that unless something is done and done quickly, man, as the dominant species of life on Earth, will be extinct within a year.
Hi, my name's Joanne Davis, and the first movie I think that I saw was The Wizard of Oz. And that probably was around probably 1953.
And then how much do you think the movie ticket cost back then?
Oh, well, I remember going to the show and it was like 25 cents. 10 cents for popcorn, 5 cents for a drink, usually 10 cents for what they used to call them. They were lollipops and they were called charms. And they were like 10 cents and they'd come in different colors, grape and everything. Oh, it was great.
So do you remember if there were, was there a movie before that or was there a cartoon?
Oh, yeah, usually they had the news. Mm-hmm. It was newsreel. Then they'd definitely have cartoons. Mm-hmm. And then the main attraction. So,
Sounds good.
and sometimes they even have intermission.
Mhm.
And yeah.
So how many times do you think you've actually seen The Wizard of Oz total?
Oh man. Well, I'd have to say 400 times at
Seriously?
least, maybe. Yeah, because then it was one of my favorites. And then it became so popular that every Thanksgiving they always used to show it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially when you're up in the age now that I am, it's been a long time. Yeah.
And you actually acted in a play.
Yes, I did. My favorite part was The Wicked Witch of the East, and I enjoyed that so much. Played that in high school, and we did it for. It was a school that came on a Saturday, and we presented it. And I was the Wicked Witch of the East. That was great.
See, the villains are always more fun to play.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Hello. My name is Amanda.
Perfect. So, Amanda, what was the first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater?
The first movie I remember seeing was The Lion King.
So, the animated Disney classic, which I would consider a classic now.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you remember about that experience? Like, who took you? What about the movie stands out in your mind now?
Yeah, I remember it was in my grandma's hometown.
Mhm.
It was not in my city.
And where was your city? So you might as well tell the listening audience where you grew up.
I grew up in Brazil.
Mhm.
Yes. So I lived in one town. My grandma lived in another town around there. And we were at my grandma's house. And I remember clearly there was an ice cream place around with some very good chocolate ice cream. I was a kid with very clear priorities.
Forget the movie.
Yes, the ice cream was very important. I think that's all I remember. It was all very shiny and lighty, and I remember that we bought the movie after it.
Once it came out.
Yeah.
So when's the last time you actually saw The Lion King? Doesn't have to be in a theater, but in general.
Yeah, in general, I have no idea.
Okay.
It's been a while. Yeah.
So when you saw it as an adult, did it hold up as well when you were like? Was it better as a kid or better as an adult?
I think it holds up. Yeah, I think it's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do like Disney movies though.
You don't.
I do. Yeah.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Yeah. So probably would hold up anyway.
So were you singing "Circle of Life" constantly after that movie?
Yeah, and actually, we used to translate the movies in English to Portuguese, including the songs. So the word "circle of life" makes no sense to me. We have like a whole Portuguese version of all the songs. Yeah.
So can you sing a little bit of?
I'm trying to remember because I saw a story in the News Digest today that was mentioning the "Circle of Life" by Elton John.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that's true. Everything has a different name here. I'm trying to, yeah. I don't know.
We'll bust it out because once you start singing it, that's going to be the interlude when we cut between interviews. So you have to sing the "Circle of Life" for us.
I have to.
Okay.
I have to remember the actual English song. What's the English song?
I can't remember. Okay, so that was your first Disney. That was the first movie you remember seeing in a theater. What was the first non-Disney movie you remember seeing in a theater?
I think maybe Matrix.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, or
The first one that I actually remember.
so no, the first Matrix, or
The first one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you see the other two?
Yes.
And what did you think about the trilogy? Yeah,
Yeah, the first one is better.
definitely the best. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, did you go with your parents, or did you go for that one, or did you actually go with your friends to see Matrix?
I think that one I went with my friends.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that would have been the first movie you went to go see alone, too.
I think so, yeah. Wait, when did Matrix come out? Because Matrix movie...
You're the first to actually do some research in the middle of being interviewed, too, so this is good.
Am I? Oh, that's terrible edits. No, it's not edits, like way of doing things. Okay, the first one 1999. Yeah, so
Okay.
I did not go alone.
You didn't go
I
alone.
probably went with my parents.
All right.
Yeah, so I think I'm probably remembering the second one, 2003,
Okay.
because that one I probably would have gone alone.
See, now you're cheating. See, other people had to go by memory. You're actually trying to get... But I like that. That's good. All right. Well, great. Now, I asked this to Enrique. So,
Okay.
since you're in the video generation, because I grew up before VCRs too. We had a VCR, but I also remember prior to having a VCR. So you probably saw movies before you actually went to the theater. What was the one movie that you would watch constantly on either TV or rental or whatever that you remember?
It was a Brazilian movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know, if you remember in the 90s, we used to have these TV hosts, which was like this blonde ladies. There was even a Simpsons episode about it.
Oh, really?
The Simpsons episode about Brazil, there's like a blonde lady talking to children, and she's half naked. So it's like a parody about those TV presenters from the 90s. So I had a favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite one did a movie, and that was my favorite movie ever.
Do you remember what it was called? Guess what she's doing right now? She's going to look it up. Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember a very specific scene where she's running with a guy, and like they're competing, and the trick she uses, he uses a trick to win from her. Like he throws sand on her face.
Okay.
And it's like a big moment in the movie.
I'm going to have to add this to my Netflix now. I think this sounds like an amazing movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the first like English-American movie you remember?
English-American movie, yeah. Maybe something from Barbie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I asked.
Yeah, I had a lot of like Barbie movies, and I had the Barbie video game later.
Did you have all the car and all that fun stuff?
I had the Barbie pool.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of a big deal.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm not getting the reaction.
You're not, because we're not doing that type of podcast. But when we have a Barbie episode, you will be the first guest. You might even host it. So yeah. Well, thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Daniel. The first movie that I remember watching was Star Wars Episode 3.
Really?
Back in 2005.
Okay, so you're very young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't actually go to movie theaters a lot as a kid, so that was like the first one that I might have gone to like one or two before that, but that was definitely the first one I actually remember going to.
So is that something you watched over and over again?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have watched Star Wars way too many times at this point.
So did you have to beg your parents to go, or were they like all in?
It was actually interesting because it was part of I had a group of friends back in elementary school. We had there were 3 birthdays, like me and 2 other friends in the same weekend. But so for one of my friends' birthday parties, we actually went and saw it.
Oh, okay. So how many times do you think you've seen it?
Oh, at this point, I've definitely seen Episode 3 like 7 times.
And is that your favorite episode of Star Wars, or is...
Yes.
Okay. Really? Still? Just because of the nostalgia?
Yeah. I recognize that there are things that are wrong with it, but I also, there's the nostalgia part, and yeah.
Wait, is this the...
Which one is episode?
Yes,
okay.
it's that one.
Yeah, I don't even know which one.
Except that got edited down a little bit in the re-release.
Not to hijack Daniel, but so we were at Yahoo, and we
Yes.
got invited to see
I
that.
remember.
And
We were working here when you went to
yes.
your first movie.
Yes, thank you. We're not old at all here. And I just remember cracking up with my colleague when the oh no, and the people behind us were so mad. Just like, this is sacrilege, he's finding out. So, all right, well, thank you, Daniel. So we hope to have on you.
Where did you grow up?
Yeah, there you go.
I grew up, Colorado, and then also here.
Okay. Did you see the movie in Colorado?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So when did you move out here?
After 5th grade. So actually the summer after I saw the movie.
Got it. So what was the first movie you saw in California?
First time I saw it. I don't remember.
Oh, it was an episode. Never
was
mind.
the recent one, The Force Awakens.
Yes.
That would have been a long time between movie-going experiences.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel.
All right. No
Thank
problem.
you.
movie buff, so
That's great.
excited about your podcast.
We'll see how it takes off. See, right now it's bare bones. We don't serve food or
Just doing it for ourselves.
We're doing it for ourselves. So tell me, what is the first movie you remember seeing in the theater?
Well, I'm not really sure, but the one that I really remember being a big deal was when I was 5 years old, going with my dad and my stepmother and my stepsister to see Star Wars at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland, and just what a absolutely like mind-blowing experience it was for a 5-year-old to see this. You know what? It's funny. Look, I've seen it like 3 times on video DVD since then. But it looks so primitive. But when I was a kid, it just was so exciting.
So when's the last time you actually watched the original Star Wars?
The last time I watched the original Star Wars was actually a long time ago. Probably a good decade ago.
So was there anything that you didn't understand when you first saw it, and then you saw it again, and you're like, oh, that's what they meant, or that's what this scene is about?
Probably. I mean, I think when I was 5, I was mostly excited about Princess Leia's hair.
Well, of course.
And I remember that, like, Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker and everyone got kind of incorporated into our play, like after that, like for a year, we would play Star Wars among friends.
Yeah.
After it came out.
I do remember everyone having the lightsabers
Yes.
that actually made
The
noise.
action figures.
Yes,
Oh,
but the lightsaber would actually make noise and everything.
And I remember thinking for the longest time that it was a lightsaber.
Yeah, like a candy or
Yeah,
something?
exactly. Someone had to correct me at some point.
So keeping with the Star Wars theme, so obviously you've seen all the originals, the first 3.
I've seen I went to see all the first 3 when they came out. I remember I saw one of them. I went with my class as a field trip back in the early 80s, which was special.
That's awesome.
Probably
'Cause
Return of the Jedi.
yeah, they really don't. I mean, I was talking about this with someone. They really don't have the shelf life of the movie. Just isn't what it used to be. Star Wars was probably in the theater for a good year, I would assume,
Yeah.
because there was no home video or anything. So if you didn't see it, you weren't going to see it. I mean, unless they played it on TV. And I don't remember
Star
when.
Wars didn't come on TV.
Yeah, that was like E.T. So like when E.T. First came out, I mean, it was a big deal when it finally came out on VHS. Like I remember making my mom buy that. So but, yeah.
Another one I saw in the theater.
Hello, my name is Dane Fitzgerald. The first movie I recall seeing was Inner Space, starring Martin Short.
Oh yeah.
And
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know when it came out, 1987, and I went to the drive-in to see it in South Sacramento. I think that drive-in is still around.
Really?
But they're kind of a dying thing.
Yeah.
And I recall being sick during one part of the movie where he was shaking his head really fast because he'd taken some kind of potion or whatever that made him really small so he could explore the inner space of the human body. And I guess I'd had too much to drink or too much candy or something. I remember throwing up after saying that.
I don't think you're the only one to throw up during Inner Space.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, it was a good movie, but that one seems a little rough.
Yeah. So did you rent it after it came out?
I'm sure I did.
Okay, so it wasn't a one.
My parents rented it, and we went to the video store. I think that might have been so far back that Blockbuster wasn't even really a thing yet.
No, it was like mom and pop. Yeah,
little mom. It was called D&D Video.
Oh,
the
really?
place that we would go to.
Yeah.
I guess those are the first names of the people that owned it. I guess.
Yeah. So that was your first movie, and it was at a drive-in. What was the first
Yeah.
movie you remember at an actual theater?
See, here's the tricky part is I actually did go to a movie theater and see a movie before that, but I my memory isn't too clear on it. It was either E.T. or it was quite a few years before Inner Space.
Right.
Or it was an R-rated movie that our babysitter had accidentally taken us into. I think Fright Night.
Accidentally, yes, of course.
Yeah. I think it was Fright Night, which
awesome.
Cool.
And for the longest time, I thought that she had mistakenly taken us in to see Fright Night but we were supposed to see E.T.,
Right.
which would make sense. But those movies came out like 3 years apart. So
Right.
it couldn't have been that.
It's a little foggy.
So I realized, that my story of the first inside a theater movie is can't be correct or something wrong
Right.
about that. So I went for the Inner Space.
That's okay. We'll if you ever remember, we'll
Yeah.
come back and edit, and we'll do a postscript, and we'll be okay. So, have you seen Interspace? When was the last time you think you've seen it?
Actually, the last couple of years.
And does
I
it
think
hold up as well? Yeah.
I got some kind of Apple or some kind of iTunes gift card or
Yeah.
something, and I decided to get a whole bunch of like cheap rentals,
Mhm.
not premium stuff, because I get more movies out of that.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe in the last couple of years I watched it.
And did it hold up well, or did you like it more as a kid?
It holds up okay. I actually thought it was cool to see the San Francisco shots, because I guess it took place around there.
Test pilot Tuck Pendleton wants to make history. Supermarket clerk Jack Putter needs a vacation.
Jack, I'm late. That's not good. You know it's coupon day.
Lieutenant Pendleton is about to be miniaturized, placed into this needle, and then injected into this rabbit.
Rock and roll.
But something went wrong. And Tuck's about to get a new destination. Inside Jack Putter.
Chris,
And Chris, what is the first movie you remember seeing in the theater?
the first movie I remember seeing was Leprechaun, which I don't remember anymore what it was about. I'm guessing about leprechauns,
Yes.
but I found out that Jennifer Aniston had started it.
But you didn't remember that she was in it.
I do not remember anything about that movie, nor have I tried to remember it.
Well, she wasn't a star yet, because I don't think Friends had started yet. So
No, I was in the 6th grade. Yeah, so I'm sorry, that was probably.
So, who allowed you to go see Leprechaun in 6th grade?
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I snuck out. I think I was. So I commuted back to school. I would commute back to school, take the bus,
Mhm.
and instead of going straight home, I figured I have extra money. I'm gonna watch a movie, and I think Leprechaun was the only movie that allowed me to get in alone. So I went there. I was alone. And
But it was rated R. How did they let you in?
I don't know. I don't know. Was it rated R?
It's a horror movie. I'm assuming it was. But
Okay. I don't know how I got in there, but I did get in there. I didn't finish the movie, not because it sucked, but because there were other, how should I say, boys that also thought like me, meaning they also snuck out, I guess.
Right.
And I got scared. The Catholic girl in me got
Aw.
scared. And so I just left.
And that was it.
That was it. I didn't get to finish it.
Oh, so have you ever gone back and tried to rewatch it?
I don't know. It never really, it wasn't the movie that was that gave me a lasting impression. It was more the experience of
Being in that, yeah.
being in a theater and knowing that you shouldn't be there.
Right.
Like your conscience telling you it's wrong. It's wrong.
Well, when your kids get into 6th grade, I think you should. This is the first movie Mommy saw at a theater.
will.
Yeah, I don't see
know how
it.
that's gonna go down with my son. But
That's a good point. But yeah, you should try rewatching it, and then we'll interview again and see
sure.
if it holds up.
Yeah. It's probably on some streaming. Like must be.
I would assume.
Very cheap.
Yeah. I did some back research. It came out in 1993, so
1993.
yeah, nice.
That's about the time.
That's right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Grady, it's out. It's out of the crate.
You believe it? No one believed it was a leprechaun.
I believe it. How do we stop it?
There's only one way. One way to kill a leprechaun. But I'm not going to tell you. I'll never tell you.
Daryl, and I think the movie I saw was Bambi.
Really? So, who took you to go see Bambi?
My mother.
Okay. Did she enjoy the film, or was she?
She probably enjoyed it more than I did.
Really? Do you remember anything about Bambi at this point?
No, I don't.
So you don't remember. So you obviously don't remember Bambi's mom dying. Spoiler alert: Bambi's mom dies. See, and so have you seen Bambi since then?
No.
Okay. Do you want to see it?
No.
Okay. Thanks, Uncle Daryl.
Okay.
He doesn't walk very good, does he?
Thumper?
Yes, Mama.
What did your father tell you this morning?
If you can't
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm
Okay, good. So, what was the first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater?
So, I was 8 years old in Brazil. So the movie was a kids movie, and there is no translation for English. So the name was Super Xuxa Controversial.
I'll run around and see it at this weekend.
It's like Super Xuxa Against Sadness. Okay. So she's that superhero, super, happy, and then there's this villain that is like spread sadness through the world to the kids, and then she comes and saves everybody.
So have you seen this movie since you first saw it?
I saw it.
And so does it hold up as well now?
No.
Is it pretty bad?
It was so sad, yes. Because she's like a big star in Brazil. Big star, at least like for me growing up. And everybody would go to watch her movies. So, but now it looks just bad.
So what's the first American movie you remember seeing in the theater?
So it could. Wait, I wrote that.
She came prepared, folks.
It could happen to you.
Okay, and was that the one with God? Who's in that?
I don't remember.
It could happen to you. Okay, we're gonna do what Amanda did, which is look it up.
It was a really bad movie. With a date,
a
first date,
and last date.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, with
terrible.
It's with Nicolas Cage and Bridget Fonda.
No idea.
And you haven't seen it since?
No, because I hate it when I watch it. I hate everything about the movie.
Why?
I don't know. It was just bad and boring. It was my first date. You don't want to watch a movie on your first date. You want to talk.
Yeah.
And my neck was hurting because I couldn't move because I was shy. So it was terrible.
So was the movie in Portuguese or was it subtitled?
Subtitle.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was in English and then just had subtitles.
Yes.
So how is that there? Like, is the American movie market big in Brazil? Like, will a lot of people go see American movies?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. Yes.
And they're always in subtitles. They're never overdubbed or anything.
It is sometimes. It is. How do you say?
When they overdub?
What is that?
So they'll have like a. So it happens a lot in the old Godzilla movies. So you'll see it's in Japanese, and so you'll see their lips moving, but it's in English, and it doesn't match.
Some people, yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's some. So there's two like showings. Like you go to those times to watch
the overdubs.
Yes. And you go other time to watch the other thing there's.
There. The subtitles.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Danielle.
You're welcome.
It all started with a lottery ticket.
You got the longest one!
Wrong? An honest cop. And a waitress.
Probably you've had good luck your entire life, which is the opposite of me.
In the middle of a very bad day. Just don't have enough for a tip.
I'll live.
Lottery ticket? If this ticket wins, I'll come back tomorrow and split the proceeds. And if it doesn't, I'll still come back and leave you a tip. What do you think?
I think I'm never going to see you again.
My name is David Gelber.
And first movie that you remember seeing in a theater?
I am fairly sure the first theater movie would have been Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
So before you had seen this, had you seen any of the other Star Treks or the TV show?
Yeah, because that would have been like 91, I think. So
okay.
By then I had probably seen the original series. Next Generation had been on for a couple of seasons by then, and was good by then too. And then, yeah, as far as the movies, I probably saw the whale one.
It was
So,
4. Everyone's
yeah,
you know, that's
Voyage
one of
Home.
my favorites. Like it I guess sci-fi wise, it doesn't really hold up, but I always appreciate it was in San Francisco and
Yeah.
it had some humor to it.
And then, yeah, for the longest time, my mom wouldn't let me watch Wrath of Khan because it was so violent, whatever. Which was ridiculous because then, like, shortly thereafter, I saw True Lies in the theater.
Yeah.
And that was way worse. But, so I had seen Voyage Home was probably the only other Star Trek movie that I'd seen because my family's all Trekkies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they all hated on Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
Yeah.
And they all, of course, loved Wrath of Khan, but they're like, you're too young to watch that.
The only thing I remember at the time was I think it was a beetle, like came out of his.
I believe it was a
Chekhov
SETI
scene?
Alpha eel.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specific.
Yeah. That was totally creepy.
That was really good. Yeah.
And then obviously the weird peck suit.
The chest piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricardo
weird
Montalban.
pecs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mullet. And the first one was so boring. I remember my mom showing me the first movie. It was just really, really long and boring.
There's a lot of apologists out there for the
that
first one because it was made to capitalize on the Star Wars boom, but for some reason Paramount decided to model it after 2001 Space Odyssey. So it was like a really heady, like intellectual movie, but it was meant to capitalize on like the action boom of Star Wars. But it had no fighting, no action,
So where did you grow up?
San Luis Obispo, California. Okay. So yeah, the theater that I used to go to was it's a chain one now, but it used to be, I don't remember what it used to be. It was like a multiplex. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we've been asking people, did your parents sneak in food to the movies?
Yeah. So it was a big deal. Me and my mom would go to it wasn't Subway because Subway's garbage, but we went to like our favorite little like sub sandwich place, and we'd get like fully loaded sandwiches. She'd put it in her backpack because she doesn't have like a purse or anything, so it was like a weird bag thing. And we'd shove our 2 giant sub sandwiches, and we would we'd eat these giant sandwiches during the movie in the dark.
Did you have the canned Coke so when you like open it up?
No, but in high school, me and my friends we would all bring, even though we wouldn't drink it, we'd all bring our own can of soda, and that was back when, because it was the theater that we would always go to, so you would know the preamble of like the opening, before the fanfare for the movie starts. It's like the theater stuff of like, this theater is Dolby whatever, and like all of those like things play. So this theater, it would do that loud, annoying THX thing, that one. And so it would do that, and then once that one stopped, it would go right into the movie fanfare. So after the annoying THX, we would all open our cans of soda, whatever, like when it was just dead silent. And normally people would chuckle, or like sometimes they'd like applaud. But,
At least the I don't know, maybe it was our generation, but the constant, the light, the pen lights, like the red. You'd always have one dick that was, the laser pointer.
Yeah.
It was happening
there was
all.
even a Seinfeld episode about
But we could probably do an episode just on
trying to
Seinfeld.
fight with the laser guy and kept following him around the scene. He was like on his head.
It seemed like every movie, usually before, you'd see some guy doing that. And then it's always guys too. And at concerts, like I think it happened at Kiss once, and they like stopped the show and
because they try to get it in the performer's
of
eyes
course
and stuff.
Yeah, so stupid.
Yeah. I think I probably saw the laser thing in the theater, but it was never like they would usually just stop.
Well, now it's just a phone, like just the light of a phone, which our boss was doing during the Avengers.
Distracting. Yeah. Oh, well, if it's a dumb movie like that, that's
was I doing it during Avengers?
Yeah, I think you couldn't wait to get out of Avengers 2. Yeah.
I think there was a reason for that, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, actually, that could be part of a podcast too. If we do go to the movies, we could talk about our movie experience for that particular movie.
Your most annoying movie experience.
Yeah. Well, we should have seen.
My friend sat next to me and she kept her phone.
We should have seen Trainwreck, but when we wouldn't take us.
Oh my god, no! And after seeing it, I was like, hell no! Like, thank God.
We're all of age. We
I
all
think-
mature
I know,
now.
but I
But
still am
phones out during like an action movie is fine because it like you don't have to be like that invested.
Sure.
But like if it's a scary movie where it's like you're like holding your breath the whole time, then yeah, if a phone comes out, it's super
It's a
distracting.
dick move. Yeah. So, what is your name?
My name's Mika Zato. I'm 25 years old.
Awesome. Okay, so what was the first movie you saw in a theater?
So we've talked about this,
Mhm.
and I don't remember clearly, but it was one of two things.
Mhm.
I know it was 2001, so I was 10 years old,
Mhm.
which is giving my age away, which is embarrassing. That's okay. So it was either Harry Potter
Mhm.
and the Sorcerer's Stone, #1, when it first came out,
Mhm.
or The Fast and the Furious, which was a weird choice for a 10-year-old,
Mhm.
but that was really
So the
that was
original
legit.
Fast and Furious?
The original Fast and Furious and the original Harry Potter.
That's...
So 10 years later, we've seen 7, 8 Harry Potter movies, and I don't know, like 30,
Fast and
however
Furious.
many they've made.
So before you saw the Harry Potter movie, did you actually read all the books first?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm of the generation that probably like religiously read like all of the books 7 or 8 times.
Right. So did the movie match up to the books?
Yeah, so the movie coming out was a huge deal for kids my age. So there was a significant amount of like almost academic research
Mhm.
that like went into how they made the movie before you actually went to go see it.
Right.
So I don't know if this was something that I've ever experienced other than this time that I saw this movie. But we researched the actors and the sets and like the choices they were making
Mhm.
for the scenes and Hogwarts and everything. So it's almost like we already knew
Right.
what it was going to be like when we actually saw it, but it was still magical.
Which is interesting because now, I mean, you can research movies. Back then, like back when I was watching movies as a kid, no internet, no nothing.
Right?
Whatever it said in the newspaper was in the theater, that's what you went to go see.
Yeah.
So
It was
yeah.
it's at the point though where like Teen Beat and J14
Yeah.
and all those magazines were publishing Harry Potter, like the set secrets with actors Daniel Radcliffe, and he was like 8 years old.
Right. I know.
It's so crazy.
And it's crazy to see he's an adult now, and that's like, yeah. All right. So it was Fast and Furious. What drew you to see that one?
So I
or who drew you
such
to
an
see that?
embarrassing
Yeah.
story. God. So I was friends with this girl. Let's call her Felicia. That's
Okay.
not her name.
Let's give her a call right now.
Let's call Felicia.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I think she's like a waitress at a Buffalo Wild Wings in Daytona, Florida.
Awesome. Where are you
This
now?
girl went. I haven't spoken to her, but she was just. She wanted so bad to be like mature and grown up,
Mhm.
and like this is the kind of person that for her 10th birthday asked for like a Venus razor because she wanted to be like a grown woman. She's crazy.
Yes.
But it was her 10th birthday party, July 4th or 3rd, like in 2001, and she really wanted to go see The Fast and the Furious because she saw the previews and they looked really good. And there's this really hot guy named Paul Walker, rest in peace,
Yeah.
who was like so awesome, and we needed to go see him. So we did. And I remember like it was 4 girls, 10 years old. We were the youngest girls in the theater, all looking. It was this janky Hudson Valley, New York, Kingston theater, and like we were so obnoxious. Like if I were an adult watching those movies, I would be like, "Who brought them?" Like,
So your parents
kick them
did your
out.
parents just drop you off, or were they in the theater with you?
The mother, who's
Mhm.
like also insane,
Oh boy.
brought us
Yeah.
in like her pickup.
Mhm.
She's like a motorcycle enthusiast
Mhm.
and very interesting woman, very progressive parent, and brought us and sat there right with us, and we listened to Bon Jovi on the way back.
That's
in the back
amazing.
Of the pickup truck.
Now, was it classic Bon Jovi or was it newer
I think
Bon
it was
Jovi?
classic because she definitely came of age in the era of
Slippery When Wet.
the beginning. Of,
Yes.
it was excellent. I very much appreciate my education.
Absolutely. So when you saw Harry Potter, was that with your parents or was that with friends too?
That was with my entire extended family.
That's awesome.
So we were so full circle because the same extended family that was all obsessed with Harry Potter. Me and my aunts, all my cousins, went to go see the last one when it came out as well. So however many years later, I think it was like 21 or 22.
It's almost like what people do with Star Wars now.
Yeah. It was cool. And my cousin actually worked at the theater.
Oh, nice.
So, however many years later, we went and saw it again. So it was great. Yeah.
So that was the first movie theater. So obviously you were around when DVDs were definitely out and everything. So you're young enough. So do you remember what the first movie that you really got excited about, like at home video type?
Home video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, this is a great one because I'm like notorious in my family for this movie being the center of my being. We had no cable and grew up strictly on VHS. Actually, we didn't get a DVD player until I was in high school. But we would rent videos from the movie store and copy them to VHS.
That's what we did. Yeah.
Legally, and we still have an entire library of VHSs with the labels on them and everything.
That's awesome.
So my first film that I was completely and utterly obsessed with was Free Willy. Free Willy. I needed to watch Free Willy every single day. I was obsessed with the male protagonist. I wanted to be him. His name was Jesse. I bought a little backpack that I wore. I was 4 years old. I ran around the house with it. I actually went swimming in the stream in the back of our house and was like, I'm Free Willy! It was like, so I bought a harmonica. I learned to play the theme song. I was 4 years old.
That is so awesome. When we cut this together, we will put the theme song in there. Or we'll somehow do that.
Yeah, so the theme song is actually different. It was like, na, 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 like that emotional song. Then the song we played at the end was Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's right.
Hold me.
Yeah. Yes.
Like the River Jordan. What was that song?
I'd have to look it up.
You were my friend or something.
Yeah.
Carry me. If you were my, I know all the words. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop now.
Well, I know you. We're going to do karaoke soon. So awesome. Okay, so that is perfect. Thank you so much, Enrica.
I love those questions. It was like, na, 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 na. It was like, na, 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 na.
My name's Frank Filippini.
All right. So, Frank, what was the first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater?
Well, I believe it was The Godfather.
Okay.
I was in circa 1972, so I was like 1 at the time.
So your parents were one of those parents that took the screaming child into a rated R movie.
Yeah, I wasn't screaming until they had the horse.
The horse
fed.
scene, yes.
But I have a Godfather book of famous quotes on my work desk that I use. I open every day and kind of read the quote. And one of my favorite ones is obviously, "Leave the gun and take the cannolis."
Yep. Absolutely. Well, you're Italian, so this makes sense.
I am.
Okay, so you might have been too young to read the book, but did you read the book at any point?
I did.
Okay.
And it was very loyal. The movie was very loyal to the book.
Okay, so did you see the movie or the book, or did you read the book first?
Movie first, and then read the book in college. It was
Okay.
one of my political science classes around different types of power.
Awesome. So obviously you've seen Godfather Part 2.
Yes.
Which one do you like better? Or is that Sophie's choice?
I like Godfather as better, but Godfather 2 is a better movie.
Right.
A better story.
Because you really see Michael come up,
Right.
turn into his own.
And I've never seen, they have other Godfather clips where it's chronological. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah.
From, Godfather 2 basically.
Well, you think, even though you lose Brando, you get De Niro,
right,
who is amazing. He barely talks in it, but just he had
says like 5 words, I think, in English.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is that's part of another Oscar quiz. Name the only 2 actors who won Oscars for the same role. Robert De Niro and
That's amazing.
Marlon Brando.
That's a great one. See, this is why we had you on, Frank.
That's why.
So, okay, so that was the first movie you remember seeing in the theater. What was the first movie? So did your parents take you, or did you go with friends?
No, parents took me because I think it was R-rated
Yeah.
at the time. That was pre-PG-13 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was usually always a weekly going to the movie kind of.
So how much do you think the movie cost back then?
How much it cost to
get
go
in?
see?
Yeah.
I know that. 50 cents for me.
That's awesome.
Because I was a kid.
Right. So how much was the regular price?
I don't know.
Yeah, probably $1.
$3.50 maybe.
Really?
$1, $2. I don't know.
Times haven't changed. So.
They have.
So was that past the era where they'd show cartoons in the beginning?
It
and
was.
everything? Okay. So, because I was interviewing my parents, and they both said there was a cartoon before seeing whatever they saw.
When I was in school in Berkeley, they had the UC Theater, and it used to run all these movies, but it also run the whole gamut of cartoons and everything.
Newsreel
and
Yeah.
everything like it was back in the time.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. That was like a whole night of entertainment. You didn't have TV, maybe you just had radio, and that was your source of visual entertainment, and that's how your imagination gets going.
Well, that's a great part about movies when we were growing up, because you really didn't have that instant gratification where you knew the movie would be, on your TV in literally a month. I mean, you had to go see it, and it was out for a year. I think people of this generation kind of miss out on that, like that whole movie-going experience.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, they would have double features, and I would go during the day with my friends, and then go back at night with my parents to see the movie again, especially the
good ones.
James Bond movies.
Oh yeah. So, what do you remember the first movie you saw without your parents, where you went with buddies?
I'm not sure it's the first one, but the one that comes to mind is Tales from the Crypt. And it's a horror movie, and I think it's British, and I don't like horror movies, but for some reason, I remember that going on a Friday night with my friends sitting in the front row, throwing jujubes at the screen and everything else.
Okay, so going back to The Godfather, you've seen Godfather Part 3.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I was excited because it opened on a Christmas night, and so to be able to blow away all the family obligations and go do something fun like go see Godfather 3.
Yeah.
Not a very good movie per se. I like the
You like Sofia Coppola?
No. Andy Garcia, I couldn't come up with his name. His role as Vincent.
Yeah, he was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
The best line is, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Yeah. That's the only redeeming factor.
Well, look, they couldn't get Robert Duvall back because of the cash problem, because they wanted, because
Pacino. They killed him off.
Pretty much, yeah. But that was a problem. I mean, it would have been better, I think, if Duvall had been in. The best joke I heard about the Godfather trilogy and about Godfather Part 3 is the guy bought the DVD set, and so while he's watching 1 and 2, he uses 3 as a coaster to put his beer on. So, and that's kind of how a lot of people feel about Godfather Part 3. But this is great. Thank you so much, Frank.
Brian, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem.
On your podcast.
Absolutely.
Don Corleone, I am honored and grateful that you have invited me to your daughter's wedding. On the day of your daughter's wedding. And I hope that their first child be a masculine child. I pledge my ever-ending loyalty for your daughter's bridal purse.
Thank you, look, my most valued friend.
Don Corleone, I'm going to leave you now because I know you are busy.
Kelly.
Okay. So what was the first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater?
So I don't really remember the first movie that I saw in the movie theater, but I remember going to see Adventures in Babysitting with you and Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the old Belmont movie theater, which is no longer there.
No, it's a Planet Granite now.
Yes. And I remember getting in, and we wanted popcorn, you and I, and Mom didn't have enough money to buy the popcorn. So the man behind us, he said, "Oh, don't worry about it." So he paid for the popcorn.
I totally don't remember that.
I remember.
Are you sure it wasn't Problem Child?
No, I remember because it's I remember the bad memories. I don't remember. So that's the only thing I remember.
But you don't even remember anything about the movie?
Don't remember anything about the movie except for what I can remember now about the movie.
Yeah. So you've seen the movie since, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Movie popcorn. We couldn't even afford movie popcorn back then. Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Nobody gets out of this place without singing the blues.
Joe?
All right. So what was the first movie you remember seeing in a theater?
Alien.
Okay. And so around what year do you think this was?
This would have been, let's see, 1981?
Okay. So what do you remember most about watching Alien?
Getting the shit scared out of me. seeing the aliens popping out of a guy's stomach, and thinking that when I woke up, I would have an alien popping out of my stomach. I think I was like 9 years old when I saw that movie. It was very, very inappropriate.
So what parent let you watch that? And what parent took you?
My dad.
Your dad took you.
Took me and my sister, and she covered her eyes the whole time, and I watched it. Probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made.
Okay, so what was the first non-horror movie you remember seeing?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Okay, the first one. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, Joe.
No problem.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
The first movie I ever saw was E.T.
Okay. Do you remember anything about the movie the first time you saw it?
Yes. I remember seeing the bike fly in front of the moon, and I remember the part where you see like E.T.'s finger glowing and it was red, and I really remember the part where he gets sick and he's like in the hospital and his skin gets like all like pale colored, and his friend, I forget his name, I think it's Elliot, like comes to visit him, and I was so sad and I remember crying. I remember all that.
Did you end up seeing E.T. afterwards? Like, have you seen it since?
Yes.
Okay. And are you still traumatized by that experience?
Well, I mean, it's a sad movie. I mean, I think it was kind of more sad because I was such a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, and it was kind of traumatic because of the relationship between E.T. and Elliot, but you know, not as sad when you're older.
That's true. Okay, well, we're gonna phone home now.
What are you going as, Gerd?
I'm going to Chicago. So, what else is here?
Maybe it was an iguana.
It was no iguana.
Maybe you know how they say there are alligators in the sewers?
Alligators in the sewers.
All we're trying to say is maybe you just probably imagined it.
I couldn't have imagined it.
Maybe it was a pervert or deformed kid or something.
A deformed kid.
Maybe an elf or a leprechaun.
It was nothing like that, penis breath.
Elliot! Sit down.
Hi, my name is Mark, and I guess my first movie experience was watching Krull and Superman 3 back in 1983 as a double feature.
And which one did you prefer?
Superman 3, of course.
Of course. So that was the one where he gets the kryptonite, and then he turns into like almost Bizarro Superman, right?
Exactly.
He gets evil and everything. And that's why I remember it being very disturbing because he didn't shave when he started to become the evil Superman. And I remember at the bar scene, he's just basically flicking peanuts and smashing. This is Christopher Reeve, my favorite era.
Yes.
I think, yes. And then did you remember anything about Krull?
I remember a large piece of metal encrusted in lava that he had to pull out, and then he had to throw at some giant beast, and it not returning back to him, and then he ended up killing it with love. Something along those lines.
Okay, so after your initial phase, and then eventually you got a VCR, I'm sure, like everyone else. Did you rewatch Krull or Superman 3?
I did not rewatch Krull because I had no idea what was happening, and I didn't think I would get a better understanding afterwards. And Superman 3, I'd seen a couple more times on TV.
Okay.
But I was scared because there was a scene where a woman turned into a robot.
That's right.
And
that was creepy.
I was scared of computers for a little while.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Excuse me, Superman. It's me, Ricky. Ricky from Smallville. Superman, tell him he won't hurt anybody.
Ricky, he's changed.
No, maybe he's just sick. Superman, please get better.
He's not listening to you, Ricky.
Yes, he is. He can hear me. He's got super hearing. Superman, you're just in a slump. You'll be great again. Do it, Superman. Superman, you can hear me, can't you?
My name is Lindley Wellman. So my first movie memory is very vague and fuzzy, but I do, it's more, I think it was Freaky Friday. The original Freaky Friday, not the Lindsay Lohan one. Yes, I am that old. And and I think, yeah, that came out in 1976, so I was, 4 or 5 when I went. And my memory, though, is going to the Fox Theater, which is I grew up in Fremont, California.
Okay.
The Fox Theater was the local one-screen. Everybody went, they played like the old Disney movie once a week. Like we went pretty regularly. And it was my brother. My brother was tasked with taking all of us kids, it was, I have 3 older brothers. So this was like the 16-year-old would take the rest of us to the movie theater. And yeah, I remember seeing, just vague memories of seeing Disney films that, like the old ones like Bambi or Peter Pan,
Sure.
when they would release them. This is definitely before VHS or DVDs or iTunes, of course. So
and movies
I do
would be
think
out
it was,
for a long time.
Yeah, I do think it was Freaky Friday, and I don't know if it was a replay of Freaky Friday or if it was really like 1976. I feel like it was 1976 when I saw it.
I love that movie, by the way. It's still
Great
movie.
movie.
It still holds up.
I hadn't seen it for years and years and years, and I rented it on iTunes
Mhm.
recently with my daughter. So yeah, it had totally held up. It was really funny. It's a little,
It's cheesy.
they're smoking.
Oh, yeah.
throughout the movie, so there's all this other stuff, and the crazy water skiing scene at the end.
It's totally pointless.
That
Yeah.
was so weird. When water skiing was
Yeah.
like the activity that everybody did.
But I love that Gomez is the dad.
Yeah.
I forgot who
And
was.
Jodie
What was
Foster.
Jodie Foster,
And
obviously.
the mom is someone too.
Yeah.
But I'd have to look it up. But
Yeah.
you would know who she was
Sure.
right away, though I wouldn't.
And then the guy who played, speaking of Superman 3, if we spliced in Mark's interview, the guy who played Jimmy Olsen plays the love interest to Annabelle.
Oh God, are you?
I don't know
kidding?
his name, but yeah, I think his name's Boris in the movie.
Right, the
Yeah.
one that she has a crush
Yes,
on, right?
but he's always
That
has health problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like kind of a tall, lanky
Yes.
teenager.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes,
that's
yeah,
Jimmy
yeah, yeah.
Olsen.
Okay.
So
okay.
2 years later, he
Funny.
played Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
See,
Okay.
folks, this is why this podcast is a lot of fun.
Yes, and we also drove in the old school pre-seat belts or car seats for children. We drove in like this giant. I'm using my hands. No, it doesn't mean anything.
Huge.
Giant station wagon
Mhm.
where we would all sit in the front seat or the back seat. It would just be crammed with like, I think it was the neighbor kids and my family, and my poor 16, 17-year-old brother was tasked with taking us to the movies almost every week. So
Ugh.
yeah.
So what movies would he want to see and then couldn't go because
You know
of
what?
this?
He is kind of a kid. He still goes to like Disney. Like if a
Mm-hmm.
new Disney, he has grown children. They're 25 now, 26. My niece and nephew.
Mhm.
But he'll still go by himself to see. He's kind of like he's one of those kids at heart. He'll go see like the latest whatever animation
Sure.
movie that comes out. Like
Mhm.
he'll do that on his own,
Yeah.
without his wife, without his children. I mean, his children are now in their 20s, so but yeah, he'll see everything even before. I mean, I have young kids now, and he's like, "Oh, did you see this movie?" He'll go see every Disney movie that comes out, whatever. He's kind of like I think like Stephanie in that, right?
Yeah.
He has like
The kid at
very
heart.
much like Stephanie's mentality
Well,
that way.
Do they really make Disney movies like they did back then? Well, non-animated
It's
ones.
hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually Pixar are the big
Yeah.
ones, right? But then Disney still does their own ones. Like I'm thinking of a Disney movie this is going way over. You'll
No,
have to
no,
edit it
you
out.
can. No.
What's that movie with John Travolta was the voice in it, and it was a dog, Bolt. Like
Oh, okay.
that
I was
was a
about to
Disney
say, look
movie.
who's talking.
Yeah. Bolt. I mean, I only know this because I took my kids. That was okay. That
Yeah.
was pretty okay. It's
But that
an
was
okay movie.
that was animated, right?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was a Disney animated movie versus a Pixar animated movie.
So
even
when's
though
the
Disney owns Pixar.
Okay, so when's the last live action? Like where they used to do live action all the time.
I don't know if it's all focused on their stupid
Yeah.
TV show, like that TV channel.
Oh, like the Hannah Montana.
Yeah, that stuff, right? I don't even know if they do live action movies, right? Like the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Yeah,
or,
Gus and
Right, Gus.
yes,
That's something I definitely saw at that time, at that era.
all the Kurt Russell, strongest man,
yeah,
the smartest,
I don't remember those ones. What was it? Also, Apple Dumpling Gang, The Invisible Man, or the Shaggy DA.
Shaggy DA and the Shaggy Dog,
The Shaggy Dog.
the
and the Shaggy
Absent-Minded Professor.
Yeah.
No, there were so many great ones that I still own.
You
Yes.
own those. That's funny.
Yes. Lindley's done.
Got it.
I wish I had my own body back. Right body, wrong place.
Hi, I'm Mikel Calderon.
All right. And so, what was the first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater?
The first movie I remember seeing in a movie theater was Inception.
Really?
Yes, I don't remember what year it was, but I do remember I was very impressed with the quality of the effects that were in the movie. I saw it in IMAX, the big screen in the Metreon in San Francisco, and I just remember walking out of the movie, what the hell just happened?
Well,
and
it's
wanting to go back and watch it again.
That's crazy that your first movie was in IMAX. That's
Yes.
so different than most people. So, did you end up watching it again on DVD, and how did you feel as opposed to the first time?
I ended up watching it again in the theaters at a smaller theater, not in IMAX. But I was still impressed with the quality of the graphics. And this, I remember, is in a time when there was a big popularity surge in 3D movies. And so I'm a glass wearer. I wear glasses, so I wasn't really into watching 3D movies. Right. But I was just really impressed with all the different transitions and everything. I ended up getting the movie, and it was still impressive, but not as impressive as watching it in IMAX.
So the first time was definitely the best. And so you would recommend, if people were going to see it, unfortunately they can't see it in IMAX anymore, it was definitely better in IMAX.
Yes, it was definitely better.
Okay, so when you go to the movie now, do you always go for the IMAX versions, or does it matter to you?
I tend to go for the premium experience, if you will.
Sure. So yeah, it's amazing how movies have kind of changed, because everyone's got a home theater now. So it's like a lot of people wait, and they don't necessarily, I suppose when I was growing up, you went to the movie because really home video wasn't as prevalent as it is now, and definitely not streaming. So that's interesting to hear that. So that's cool. Well, thank you, Mikkel.
All right.
There's one thing you should know about me. I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security. You talking about dreams?
Nancy Archibald.
And the first movie you saw?
The first one I remember is Bambi.
Okay, and around what year do you think this was?
Oh, I have no idea. It would have to be in the 50s.
Okay, so how much do you think a ticket cost back then to go see it?
I didn't have to pay.
Well, that's nice. Do you remember if there was a feature before then? Before the actual feature film? So was there...
they always had the advertisement before.
Okay, so there was no cartoons. There wasn't.
They'd have like cartoon thingies before.
Okay.
And then they'd have all the advertisements for the food.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you remember anything about Bambi, and have you seen Bambi since then?
I haven't, but I remember how sad I felt. I remember crying.
So what was the part that made you cry?
Well, when Bambi either got hurt or died, I can't now remember what it was.
Okay, so anyone listening to this, Bambi's mother dies.
Oh, the mother. Okay.
Dies, but Bambi might have died too.
No.
I don't know. I think that was the second one. So, so again, you never, did you ever end up taking the kids to see Bambi once it got re-released or anything?
No.
No. That was it. One and done. That was the same as Uncle Daryl. One and done. So.
I don't know why. Maybe because it was sad.
That's
I left the theater feeling sad.
Disney movies, I think, were a lot grittier back then.
Yes.
Like, did you see Old Yeller?
Yes.
That's a horrible movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Nancy.
Those are birds.
Stu Yamatake.
All right, and what was the first movie you saw in the theater? Yamatake.
Jeez.
Oh, great, I have to edit this all out. First movie.
I think it was Star Wars.
That you saw in the theater.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Do you remember anything of the experience? And where was it? And what city?
Yeah, so you're going to have to edit all this out. Let's see, it must have been... Is it Valka? Did they even have a movie theater? No. Maybe it was Winchester. The Centuries.
Wow, you were specific. We were asking for like a city.
Yeah, just give me what city did you grow up in?
Sounds right, yeah. Sounds like I grew up in California.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you don't really remember anything from the actual
Did you
experience?
see the movie more than once?
Yeah.
Remember the time everybody saw Star Wars a bunch of
Yeah,
times?
no, I think I only saw it once. Yeah. My parents would flip the bill for more.
Okay, which brings up a good question. Did you sneak in food, or did you buy food there?
No, I think we did the whole 9 yards. We bought everything over there.
Ah, see, big spenders. Huh?
Yeah. Well, when you only go once to that movie, you buy your popcorn.
So, did you end up seeing all the Star Wars after that?
Yes. I mean, all the
originals.
Originals.
And so, of the three, which ones are your favorite?
I think it was the first one.
Still,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was the thing that introduced me to Star Wars.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Interesting. So, Savitri, what is the first movie that you remember seeing in a movie theater?
I remember 2 movies.
Okay.
I don't know which is the first one. One is E.T.
Mhm.
and one is Superman.
Which Superman?
With Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve. So, was it the very first Superman
I think
movie?
so.
Okay. So, you grew up in Thailand, and so you obviously saw Thai movies first. But the first American movies you remember seeing are E.T. and Superman.
Right.
Okay, so what do you remember most about E.T.?
Yes, because of the that memorable scene
Mhm.
when E.T. had to leave.
So his finger
The
lights up?
goodbye. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
She's pointing to her finger, folks. That's that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I cried, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah.
It
that
is
was-
it is a sad movie.
Right, right.
Okay, so when's the last time you saw E.T.?
That was the only and last.
Really? One and done?
Yes.
Well, you got to see it again to see if it holds up.
Well, I don't
Not
know.
putting any pressure on you, but yeah, you should go see it.
Why?
Because it's a great movie.
Okay.
Superman. What do you remember about seeing Superman?
He was flying.
That's all you remember.
That's
It's
it.
just okay.
Yep.
And have you seen Superman since then?
Yeah.
Okay, so that exact Superman you've seen.
Hmm.
Okay, and does it hold up better, or did you like it better when you were a kid, or do you like it better now?
Well, I think as a kid, because I was a kid,
Yeah.
I think I had a better impression of that one, right? The
Mhm.
first one.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But when I grew up, I knew it was a movie and the technique that they used and the effect, and it's not,
You knew that he really
yeah,
wasn't
right, not
Superman.
really Superman, right? So yeah, I think the first one probably left me better impression.
So have you seen like other Supermans that have been made since, and do they hold up, or do you like them as much as the original?
Yeah, I enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you would prefer watching the Christopher Reeve era?
Well, I might not now.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause-
Well, see, you should watch and compare, and we'll interview you about it.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, I seem
yeah.
like I have 2 movies to watch now.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
All right, that was perfect. Thank you, Savitri.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
I'm Stephanie Blair, and I work with Brian at Yahoo. And the first movie I ever saw was Star Wars. And I saw it at Grauman's Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard at Highland, which is now the Kodak Theater where they hold the Oscars every single year. And even though my parents didn't have a lot of money, I was the firstborn kid, and I was also the firstborn grandchild. I was the firstborn everything on both sides. And my mom's side of the family, they were all in the movie making business. They were in the engineering, light engineering, sound engineering. And so, like, for my grandfather, like, my first movie was a big deal. Like, he wanted me, even though, we would see things on television and stuff, the first time I was going to go to the movies, it had to be a big deal. And so he arranged with my dad, even gave my dad the money. On a Saturday, Mom and Dad took me to Grauman's Chinese. My brother, I think, was like 3 years old or something, and we left him with Grandma and Grandpa, and we went, and that was when like going to the movies was a big deal. I mean, that's when the guy that you bought your tickets from, this guy, and he was in this like full like red, sort of this red coat with like epaulets and gold buttons, and it was all just so very fancy, and there was all this like velvet, like crushed velvet everywhere. And the concession stand was like so amazing. And I mean, Star Wars was an incredible film, but I have to say that what led up to it, all the pomp and circumstance of Grauman's Chinese and, the footprints and all of that stuff was pretty exciting. And then you get your tickets and you go inside and you actually travel down like a red carpet to go to your seats. And I got to sit on the aisle and my parents sat next to me and we saw the movie. And of course, it was like one of those life-changing moments. Like I can remember everything, about that film, everything that I felt even at 5 years old. And there was just something so compelling to me about this battle between good and evil, and there was a way even at 5 years old of accessing my own morality for the first time in my life. Like I imagine it's a lot like religious experiences are for people when they're converted to various faiths. Like that was kind of Star Wars for me. It was this first time that I was sort of confronted with my own morality and what side did I want to be on. But what was really cool is, in the end when after they win and they're all getting medals and they walk down that carpet, what was really cool is at Grauman's Chinese, like the carpet was the same, like almost the same color as what was in the movie. And I thought it was just like the coolest thing because there was the carpet and there was the carpet in the movie. And I thought they were the same thing. And I was like, oh my God, they must have filmed that here. And they pulled the seats out of, Grauman's Chinese to film.
But that reminds me, because as a kid, you think of things that they don't make any sense. So I always thought that my parents lived in black and white because in their era, everything was in black and white. The movies, the TV. My dad looked at me like, oh, this is going to be the slow kid in the class. So, yeah, no, but that's awesome. So is that still your favorite Star Wars of all of them, or
no? Empire Strikes Back, I think,
was
by far the best one. I mean, that whole Luke father thing, did not see that coming at all.
Oh, thanks for giving it away. But yeah,
Empire Strikes Back was by far the best one. But I still, to this day, nothing is ever compared
to that one.
To going to see Star Wars. I mean, it was just magical. And even now, when you can spend like $40-$50 for the recliner, and the guy brings you the wine and the blanket, and it's all super cool, and you're having a really good time, it still won't compare to Star Wars at Grauman's Chinese.
But you're right. I mean, the movie used to be an event, and it's not really an event anymore. It's just kind of an afterthought because of home video and home theaters and things like that. So
yeah, and the thing that really bums me out now is, I have 2 daughters, and the negotiation to go see a film, it's just, I mean, it's exhausting. I almost don't bring it up anymore because I don't want to fight. Right. When I was little, there was no argument because one movie came out, and that was the movie we were all going to go see, and whether you were going to like it or not was irrelevant. Yeah. Like, there was a movie at the movie theater, there was extra money to go to the movies, we were going to the movies. Yeah. And sometimes you would go and you'd be really excited to see the film, but for the most part, it was the act of going to see whatever was recently made and was going to be up on screen. I was thinking about this earlier, like Last of the Mohicans. Mm-hmm. I never would have seen the movie The Last of the Mohicans, but it was the only movie out. And Daniel Day-Lewis was amazing in that movie, and I'm so glad I got to see it. But would I have seen it otherwise? And how many movies are like that?
No.
How many movies do we miss out on, we never get to see, because the market is flooded with choices? It makes me a little sad. And then also you don't have that same conversation with your friends and family where everybody has seen the film. Certain subsections of your friends and family groups have seen various films, but you don't get to have that collective conversation like you once did.
It's the same thing with TV now. There's so many TV shows, like literally there were 5 stations because most people didn't have cable. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's funny. I was thinking the same thing about VHS rental companies. When I was a kid, there was a limited inventory. So we watched, I don't know if you ever saw The Man from Snowy River.
Oh,
we
of
must
course.
have seen The Man from Snowy River 100 times. Not because we necessarily liked the movie, but because we'd seen everything else and you needed a movie.
Yeah.
Or Breakin' 2, Electric
Boogaloo. Yes.
We watched that movie over and over again because you just ran out of choices. And I like more choices. I really do. But in some ways I kind of miss the, everybody seeing the same thing.
So I have a good story about Electric Boogaloo. So we had a home video camera. And that acted as our dubbing station to record movies that we rented. So, for whatever reason, she decided to tape Electric Boogaloo, but not the original Break-In. And so my only guess is There was you could only have so much break-in in your house, and so Electric Boogaloo was the one she chose. But yeah,
I loved Breakin' and I loved Breakin' 2. They were
and Beat Street and all those.
But
Yeah.
again, movies I never would have seen.
Never.
Except that my VHS store just ran out of inventory.
That's
and
right.
I'd seen everything.
Yeah.
So okay, well, if this is it, then all right.
Literally every Friday we would go to the video store and pick out a couple movies. That was the best. Yeah.
Us too.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Well, thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Brian. This was super cool.
Awesome.
I'm Terry.
And what was the first movie you saw in a theater?
Wow. I was very little, but I do remember going to the movie theater while I was in Taiwan watching the movie Annie.
Wow. So okay, so it was in Taiwan.
Yes.
So was it in English or was it subtitled or?
It was in English and in subtitle
Mhm.
because it sang all those, cute songs.
Yeah.
So it was all in English, but it had the subtitle.
So did you know the story of Annie before seeing the movie, or was this your
Not
first?
at all, but I loved the movie after seeing it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Now, were you singing all these songs like immediately after, like when you?
No, not yet, because I didn't know English back then.
Okay. Okay, so that was, and obviously your parents took you.
Yes, my mom did.
Okay, so what was the first movie that you remember going to without your parents?
Okay, it's a little embarrassing now because it's going to show my age, but I remember going to see a movie with just my friends from school,
Mhm.
and it was called Pretty in Pink.
No, I love
In
that
the
movie.
80s,
That's a great movie.
I didn't say if it's like elementary friends or
Mhm.
middle school friends or high school friends.
That's okay. When I was growing up, we're the same age, right?
Yes.
So, so who was your favorite character in Pretty in Pink?
I really like Molly Ringwald because
Okay.
she was the main
The main,
character.
yeah,
But Andrew McCarthy, right?
yeah. But God, what was his name in it?
Blaine.
Very good. And so you didn't care about Ducky. You didn't care that she didn't end up with
No,
Ducky.
no.
Not to spoil anything for anyone, but she
No.
doesn't end up with Ducky.
Yes, but I did read that the alternative ending.
Yeah, and it didn't test well. So that's why
It didn't test well.
Yeah.
Exactly. I read that too.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So so they wanted her to end up with the rich kid.
No. It probably wasn't because he was rich.
No, well, yeah.
It was true love.
Obviously, they never made a sequel, so we'll never know what happened.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Well,
totally. And then it was, my favorite scene from the movie was when that's when computer was not
As
a big-
prevalent, yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then they were in the library or somewhere, and then someone, I guess, pinged her, and then she stood up and looked around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but nowadays, computers everywhere.
Well, I know it's kind of lost on that. Like going to the movies was a real event. It's not the same now because you know it's going to be on streaming in a month. So
Yeah. And I agree.
yeah.
But I still go to movies. For some, we're kind of selective on what movies we will see in the theater.
Mhm.
So if we're not able to achieve the same effect at home, we will go to a movie
We'll go to
theater.
yeah.
But anything that doesn't have any special effects, it didn't really matter. If it was just a plot thing, if it's a drama, then I totally would just watch it at home.
And that's how things have changed because way back when you would have just gone to the movie.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But nowadays, you go into, like, if you watch a movie with a lot of sound effect or visual effects, definitely I would still go to the
You still
movie
want to go.
theater.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Terry.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right.
It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Static Relay, we get drinks. Static says we get drinks. It's the hard knock life.
Tracy.
And what was the first movie you remember seeing in a theater?
Okay, so I think it was E.T. and it was actually at the drive-in. Does that count?
Oh, of course. And so, do you remember anything about that particular experience and what was in ET and how it made you feel? And
I just remember being like in the car. It was cozy, and the giant screen with E.T.'s big head, and it was just like, oh, he's so cute. And I remember, what's her face? What's her name? Forget. Drew
Barrymore, yes.
Yeah, and she was so pretty. Like, she's so cute. And it was like, oh. Anyway, yeah, I just remember feeling like, oh, I really want to be that family because I really like that E.T.
so, did any of it scare you? So, like when ET They found him in the river, or like when he went
He
home.
was in the closet.
Oh, that yeah.
Because I was worried that they'd catch him because she was in there with him, I remember, or she left him in there, and I just was really worried that they'd catch on.
So when's the last time you actually saw E.T.?
I think I watched it with my kids recently, but they didn't want to watch it, so we started it, and they're like, "Oh, this is boring," and so we kind of didn't really finish
It didn't take. So did you remember? So watching it as an adult, was it better or different or than when you originally remember it?
It wasn't as good as the first time. I remember being like, it was really just so amazing at the time, and now it's just like, I didn't really bring back much.
Right.
Except for like feeling like I was in the drive-in. I remember that whole experience and being in the car.
Yeah. So you don't remember the first movie you saw in an actual theater or around? What's the first movie you actually can remember?
I remember being in the theater and vomiting.
Uh-oh. Was this Leprechaun?
No,
Okay.
it's a Chinese movie.
Okay.
And I remember I told my parents I feel sick, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine." And then I vomited, and then the girl in front of me, she had really long hair. Oh my God. And then I was like, "Oh, I think I got it on her hair." And then we snuck out, and then I vomited in my cousin's brand new car on the way home. And it was like literally brand new. And I went, it went all over his seat. Oh, this probably gone off on a tangent.
And Tracy, you didn't even want to be interviewed. This is why see, and you, I think, have the best story of them all. So. Well, thank you, Tracy.
Oh, God! Elliot. What? Elliot. I taught him how to talk now. He can talk now. Elliot. Look what he brought up here all by himself. Elliot. What's he need this stuff for? Elliot. E.T., can you say that? Can you say E.T.? E.T. 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 Be good. Be good. I taught him that too. You should give him his dignity. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
All right, so this is going to be a first. We're going to do multiple at once, and we're just going to go back and forth and do a little round table about the very first movie you remember seeing in a movie theater. So who wants to start?
Would you like to?
Sure.
Okay.
So I didn't have to think about this very long at all because I remember the first one that I saw, but it wasn't in a theater. It was in a drive-in, and it was kind of like an anti-movie experience because I was really, really young, and the movie was Saturday Night Fever, and I went back and I even looked to see if my memory was correct, and I could have possibly been old enough to see Saturday Night Fever at that age. Turns out they re-released a PG version, and I'm hoping my parents took me to that one. So the only thing I remember about the movie itself is the bright dance floor.
Sure.
I was like 4, I think, at the time, and dance floor, all this stuff is going on. I had no idea what was going on in the plot. No clue.
Well,
what was?
To be fair, there really isn't a plot. So.
That's good to know that now. But what really fascinated me, both my sister and I, there was a playground under the screen in the drive-in, and I found out later that this is fairly common. And so we spent most of the time either playing on the playground or running over those mounds that the cars park on and kind of incline up towards the screen, and then running to the snack shop and like back. I don't know. We were just running around like crazy people. So there are a couple of things I remember about the movie experience. Saturday Night Fever, lots of bright colors, lots of action. Couldn't hear it because we weren't in the car. So we just heard like fuzzy voices from all of those metallic little toaster things that were attached to the windows.
Yeah, because now it picks up on your radio if you've been to a drive-in.
I have, but it's been a long time, and I kind of miss the radiators in the windows. But the other thing was that my parents didn't think about what might be playing on the other screen.
Oh, no.
And if we're sitting in a playground under the screen for the film that they're watching, and we're on the swings, we're like going out. And that's the other thing. So the other movie that I saw, I don't know the name, but I know it was a horror movie. It was terrifying. I just remember there was a there was a house, it was nighttime, and there was somebody about to enter it, and I knew that even I don't think I'd ever seen like a hardcore R-rated horror movie by that time. I knew it was bad, and we were both terrified. My sister fell off her swing, and we kind of ran back to the car. It was a really exciting night.
So, have you seen the sequel to Saturday Night Fever?
Staying Alive. I'm sure I have, and I'm sure I saw it either in the drive-in or because we went to the drive-in pretty regularly after that. I don't remember that movie at all. I haven't bothered to watch it since.
I must admit, I saw that first. For some reason, my mom either dubbed it or, rented a lot, but that's the one I remember the most. And it's definitely not as good. It's actually pretty hilarious to watch. But,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, if it's bad and hilarious, then that might actually be good for me.
Do you know who directed it?
I don't.
Sylvester Stallone.
That's right.
And he
co-wrote, didn't it?
Yeah, and it has a cameo right in the beginning. He walks right by Tony, was it Manero or Gennaro or whoever the John Travolta character is. But yes, we're checking out now. Okay, so what was the first movie you saw that wasn't the drive-in? Was not at the drive-in?
Oh, that's tough. So I was trying to think about that because I wanted to try and remember if I knew what that was. I remember going to a lot of movies. I became addicted to movies. The earliest I can remember is Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was the first I saw in the theater because I don't remember that being like a weird experience. Saturday Night Fever, the whole drive-in thing, that was new to me.
Sure.
That was like a Disneyland kind of experience. And it was out in the middle of an orchard, in the middle of nowhere. So it's probably either Mary Poppins or Clash of the Titans.
Wow, that's quite a
Harryhausen films.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there weren't any interesting movie theaters. It was just like those long cinder block chambers with some curtains over them. I don't think I ever liked it. Oh, we used to go to the Superman films when they came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if those were earlier.
Yeah. Mark had said that his first was double feature of Superman 3 and Krull. So yeah, pretty bad. Yeah, so.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay, Josephine, what was the first movie you remember seeing in a theater?
In a theater, I think it was E.T., but I can't even remember like the experience. But I just remember at the end I cried, and like my mom and like my friends were like teasing me, but I was like, it was so sad, and like. Just watching Stranger Things on Netflix, it just kind of brings all those themes back.
Mm-hmm.
And but the first movie I remember seeing, not in a theater, was The Sound of Music, and that I remember clearly like losing my mind over.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like, it's like the singing and like it's just it was just great. I clearly remember like I was with my dad when I saw it, and the ending, it feels kind of like what happens to them at the end, right? Do they make it over the border? What happens? And he's just like, well, they're working on a sequel right now. And I'm like, when's it coming out? And he's like, I guess soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how many times do you think you've seen Sound of Music?
I mean, at least 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, I feel like it just kind of like grows with you. I remember like loving like the 16 going on 17. The actress recently died actually. Who played that, yeah.
So have you ever been to the Stanford Theater in Palo Alto?
Yes.
So I think we were just showing it not too long ago. Yeah.
Oh, no. I love that theater.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so great seeing movies you've seen a million times, but it's a better experience there. Like seeing The Wizard of Oz or Casablanca or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So so back to E.T.
Mm-hmm.
So when you rewatched it after you were a kid, was it better when you first saw it, or was it better the second time?
I can't even remember. I can't remember like what I was thinking when I first saw it. I was just kind of like, and then I just remember like just crying at the end. It was so sad. But I think I feel like watching Stranger Things kind of was almost like watching E.T. again, just because it had like a lot of the same themes.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole experience of watching E.T. is so fuzzy. I barely remember it.
Yeah.
The other experience that I had just at a theater that I barely remember is my mom took me to watch Flashdance. I don't think she wanted me to watch it. I think she just wanted to watch it, and she just brought me along. And I remember different scenes. I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, okay.
That's basically the natural sequel to Saturday Night Fever. There's no plot, great music, not really a strong plot.
And you
at all.
walk out remembering like 3 or 4 things, and that's all the movie
Pretty
really
much.
wants.
I remember her running in place to Maniac.
Yeah, I
and
remember
then
like the
water
shoulder,
splash.
yeah,
Exactly.
with the sweatshirt and the.
I had an ET experience as
Mhm.
well. So when my sister and I went and saw it as a kid, we were instantly addicted. I don't remember if I cried or not, but I'm sure I wanted to. It was scary and horrifying and hurt. It was just crushing. And I think we must have seen it like 9 times in the theater. I remember, I think it got re-released too, like a year and a half later or something like that. And we went back. We were all excited. E.T.'s back.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it again until maybe 5 years ago. And then I watched it. I think I rented it or something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, I gotta buy this. And I was embarrassed. It didn't age with me. I think it was much more saccharine than I remembered it. As a kid, it was kind of like a sci-fi horror movie that just tugged on your heart on all the right places. But when I watched it as an adult, it felt really manipulative. So I haven't watched it again since that experience. It was one of those things that soured, and I've tried to be careful about some other films. The Goonies is one where I realized how addicted to those films I was as a kid.
Yeah.
The Goonies was huge. I wanted to be a Goonie.
Yeah,
I'm actually an honorary Goonie now. I hunted. True story. I did hunt down Sean Astin and asked him if I could be an honorary Goonie. And he agreed, probably to get me off.
So do you know? Like, I know they were talking about a sequel. Is that still in the works, or is that's done? Like,
I think
it was supposed to be like them now. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep talking about it. But I don't think it's
Because
gonna
that
happen.
ET is actually like number 1 on my Netflix. It's streaming on Netflix. I kind of want to watch it, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should rewatch it. I don't know if I want to. Just for that reason, just because some movies when you rewatch, like I remember when I saw American Beauty, I loved it, and then I saw it again. I was like, wait a minute, maybe it's too soon. Maybe I should.
But there are some things about E.T. that are, I think, just timeless, regardless of how you feel about it. Older, there are shots and scenes, like when they're going out into the cornfield at the beginning of the film, E.T.'s discovery in the closet.
Sure, and learning how to talk.
The hazmat suits, like those just cut deep.
Yeah.
No matter how you feel about
Well, him
it
in
later.
fun. I mean, the iconic scene of him in front of the moon. I mean, come on, that's even though it is totally saccharine, but who cares? I mean, that's what the movies are for. So, but going back to Flashdance, so my first memory of Flashdance is actually the soundtrack because my mom had seen the movie and she wasn't going to let me watch it, but she did. I remember just listening to that record over and over again. I just love that soundtrack. It was probably and same thing with Saturday Night Fever. I heard the soundtrack. I'm pretty sure on 8-track a lot. So, well, great guys. This was excellent. We're gonna do different themed episodes, and then we'll have you on to do even more if you're interested.
Cool,
so
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
All right, that was fun. So special thanks to everyone who agreed to be guinea pigs for this debut episode, all my coworkers and friends. It was a total blast putting it together. So here are the stats that we have regarding first movies seen in a theater. Seems like 5 people mentioned Star Wars, some former Star Wars, and E.T. E.T. was a common theme too. One thing while putting this together, I didn't think about it at the time, but my sister Kelly mentioned how my mom didn't have enough money to buy popcorn at the time. And this type of story would have never happened in today's world. And the reason is people barely used cash to buy anything now. And so, it would, $5 popcorn, or back then it would have probably been $2, would have been that issue would have been easily resolved because you would just use your credit card or debit card or something like that. So back in 1987, you weren't going to make a $2 purchase on your credit card. That just seems ridiculous. So maybe it's a state of how things are now today. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So we're going to create a Facebook page, Damn Good Movie Memories, and a YouTube channel so you can hear all this stuff. So like us on Facebook when it comes out, and we'll see where this takes us. Hopefully we'll have many, many more episodes because this was a lot of fun to do. All right, and so to leave you on this episode, in tribute to both Tracy and Dane, here you go. Hello there, and welcome to the very first episode. That's right, the debut episode of Damn Good Movie Memories. I'm your host.